Hey guys, it's me Rebecca. So this will be the start of another weekly vlog, and so far today I've just done some cleaning. I just vacuumed the carpet and the stairs and did some laundry, so yeah. And I also edited my previous video, so that's all good. And I have done some reading. If you saw the end of that previous video, you would have seen I started Labyrinth by Kate Moss. I'm just gonna give the synopsis again as I started yesterday on Saturday. And this is about in July 2005 in the Pyrenees Mountains near Carcassonne. Alice, a volunteer at an archaeological dig, stumbles into a grey cave and makes a startling discovery. Two crumbling skeletons, strange writings on a wall, and a pattern of a labyrinth. 800 years earlier, on the eve of a brutal crusade that will whip apart sovereign friends, a young woman named Alice, is given a ring and a mysterious book for safekeeping by her father. The book, he says, contains the secret of the true Gale. And a ring inscribed with a labyrinth will identify a guardian of the Grail. Now, as crusading armies gather outside the city walls of Carcassonne, it will take a tremendous sacrifice to keep the secret of the labyrinth safe. And right now I'm on page 152, and yesterday I got to page 70. I'm just gonna make up right for today. And something that I'm finding quite interesting, I guess, is we are going back and forth from between 2005, the current timeline, and the previous timeline, which is 1209. And we are following characters from both. We're following, I guess, both Alice's? Yeah. The way that Alice from 1209, if that's how you pronounce her name correctly, but. And we see the people around them, how they, I guess, fulfill similar purpose. Change of scenery, as again my father was watching something in our kitchen, and you could probably hear it. But as I was saying, yeah, they serve to similar purposes, I guess. From what I read today, in I guess our present day chapter, so 2005, our Alice, she discovered the cave and was knocked unconscious and regains consciousness to be confronted essentially by, I think her name's Shaylee, or however you pronounce it, who was the one who got Alice onto this excavation. And Alice isn't an not architectural, an archaeologist. She holds a PhD in medieval English literature, I believe it was. She was only there as like a volunteer, and Shaylee sees what she's done with the fact she accidentally kicked its skull because there were two skeletons discovered in the cave, and by picking up something with her tweezers, she kind of compromised the scene, and Shaylee's extremely upset because of the skeletons, as apparently with this dig, as it was a private institution that was funding it, they are supposed to call the police. And yeah, so I'm curious on why Shaylee's so upset with Alice. Like, yeah, Alice made a couple mistakes, but I don't know, just the way they argued, I thought they were like maybe teenagers, early 20s, wanting to learn that through Alice having to give her date of birth to the police, which that she's like 29 years old. So I am curious on what that was about, but we do see how Alice is talking to the police, and then this other person who's not police but a politician, I think it was, comes into the picture, and Alice claims there was a wing, and yet no one's, apparently the politicians trying to make it seem like there was no wing whatsoever, that it was like Miss Alice's imagination, and he confiscates her sketchbook where she was drawing the wind and reading them. And she hears him on the phone, tells someone it's gone. And that's it. And then when she's at her hotel, she receives this letter only for the person who delivered it to be killed, because they shouldn't have, or someone trying to keep them quiet. And we see how Alice flees. And we also in 2005 get this perspective from this woman named Marie Sicily, see them, who is this, oh my word, there's a word for it. It's like she comes from money. Her family seems like one a museum, or people who collect art and artifacts and history, really. And she is part of this almost cult, it seems like, with the way it was described, with her having to win this initiation and this what was it? It was some sort of ceremony then where she felt more powerful. So I'm always so curious about that. But in the past, Alice, she is attacked by two men, and they just take her to the riverside. So why? So it looks like something happened to her, or they were trying to create some misunderstanding between her father and her husband, because she wasn't in her rooms the night that Viscount was gonna go to meet with his uncle, and her father and her husband were both gonna go in. Her husband wasn't in his rooms, he was with the Viscount and same with her father, so. And she wasn't there to say bye to them both, so. Yeah, it seems like someone was trying to sabotage that, and as well, it seems like her sister, who has two of her maids that look after Alice, and it seems like these maids also just don't like Alice for some reason. Her sister holds this grudge against Alice, as she is as their father's favorite, and yeah, and I am curious on what her role will be to come to play in this, because we do get one chapter from her perspective that was just like, is there a point to it? So I'm very much intrigued. But yeah, so far I'm just intrigued on seeing where this goes from here, and if the other Guardians of the Gale will come together, because that's what past Alice's father was, a member of this Gale. So I'm just curious, I guess. So yeah, I think that's all for now. So it's the next day, and I've done quite a bit of work and whatnot, and I haven't done a lot of reading. I've just done some, but I'm on page 202 of Labyrinth, and very much intrigued in the sense we did get introduced to these three books that previous timelines Alice's father's friend created. One that was kept in the friend Simon's, I believe, possession. One that was given to Alice's father, and one was given to a third person who, in periodic, like a sexism, who is a woman and you don't really know her, and it's someone they don't know, so they're not sure if she's trustworthy or if she's able to keep the book safe, but the books are part of this labyrinth apparently, and one is for potions, which was the book given to the woman. One was for numbers, which was the book Siemens Procession, and one is for Book of Words, that's in Alice's father's procession, and it's like a book for each of their own skills. And with that Book of Potions, there have been some problems getting it in the hands of their teachers' choice, I guess, like who. In this sense, someone came along, said the book belonged to theirs, and it was quite confrontational with Simon. And Simon, who is a Jew, had some trouble with this, as this person was then found killed in the water, and there was a tension with Jews at this time, and he had to leave his village. And as well, there are troubles for Bernard as his father. Innocent, the Viscount had failed to even meet with his uncle, an uncle who is so gripped, I guess, by his hatred, and so gripped in what he thinks he has to do that he won't listen to what his nephew has to say. And it seems like in a previous meeting, something had happened and left bad blood between them, as the uncle had put, I guess, generals or whatever, or something like that, in his place when meeting with the nephew, and didn't allow the nephew to talk, as basically lectured him. So yeah, now we have that to worry about this uncle attacking him. Maybe some problem, and then it looks like there are some problems for Alice with her relationship to her husband. Is she's not exactly allowed to talk to her husband about what her father told her, and we see there's issues and whatnot. And she does bring up that she is worried about like the way her sister Orling took care of her, and the father is just trying to see the good in both of his daughters, and thinks, oh, she just had good intentions, fine, I'll talk to her, sort of thing. And so I'm curious about that. And yeah, and with the, I guess, present day timeline Alice, she is doing research on labyrinths and the different labyrinths there are in France, and what I know of that research was quite interesting. Not been much, but just, I don't even know how I feel about it, but yeah. But I do plan to do some more reading today, and yeah, I have some more work I need to do, so I think that's all for now, and I'll see you. So it's the next day, and it's actually quite a warm day. Like, I think it's in the 60s today, which for, I think, mid-March, or yeah, March 10th it is, down my corner is quite warm for where I live. I might try and go for a walk after lunch. I'll see about that. And of course, it's not for me because I'm just gonna walk in my neighborhood, which is, I don't know, I always never really feel when I'm walking, but that's the point. Anyway, I've done some work, and today and last night I did quite a bit of reading of Labyrinth, premium page 306, and my intrigue is still very high. We are getting details that are interesting, details about the history of past timelines Alice's. I've been really the different religions and beliefs around her, how it seems like there's this new religion she's part of, that's, and it seems like it's this, basically God accepts everyone, and people just have different beliefs of that, and it's all about accepting everyone, which I like. But with the fact she is a believer of this new religion, it's frowned upon, and she has to kind of keep the act or look the part of someone who is a follower of the old religion, which is quite interesting. And we learn who does have the third book, and it is her former teacher, and we see how her father, this woman, Simon, and her all kind of develop this plan to try and get these books out of the city, her father is very loyal to the city and holds the city in high regards and has a lot of faith in the city that it will not fall due to the Crusaders, the French army who are coming down to spread the new religion, Catholicism, I believe it would be. And he is reluctant to take these books out of the city, even though his teacher wants them in the mountain for their own safety. And we see him and Alice, not for a while, but kind of having a disagreement about how it should be done, because she offers to take them books and he wants to protect his daughter, but also he is loyal and he thinks it's also his duty. But she kind of found, I guess, a loophole in a sense, like, does it have to be him or someone related to him? And we also see in this past timeline how Orain, Alice's sister, is involved in this sense. She has seduced Alice's husband, Guam. I don't know how to pronounce that. I definitely butchered it. And the two have been having an affair, and it seems like she is able to get him to tell her things that he probably shouldn't, and she has information on what her sister has told him, and I'm listening to see how she utilizes that and what her goals are and whatnot. And we do see how things are changing as the threat of these Crusaders coming and attacking the city is becoming very real, as they have attacked in Belziers, which was a city that they wanted to kind of, after the failed communication with the uncle, to alert. And we see that city fall, and we also see how the Crusaders have also been taken down other cities, some willingly, some where the city was willingly given to them, and that so-called heretics are burned because people are afraid, which I do find interesting. And we do see the end of the chapter how they are at the doors of Kazakon, and yeah, I'm scared to see what will happen next. In present timeline, or 2005, with Marie Silly, it seems like she does have a goal with using the book ending. It seems like her grandfather had this idea, I guess, that it could keep someone young, it could allow them to cheat death, and she is working with the person who did go to the excavation site, Paul Althea, to get information. And it seems like the two distrust one another, like they have similar goals, but the trust isn't fully there. She doesn't fully trust him, as there's things in his past that are a bit questionable, but she has it goes to with some, she'll fulfill them. And we do with present day Alice see how she's getting more and more, I guess, tied up with her past. How, or really, the way it's mentioned, it seems like this is her past life that she keeps thinking about, which I do like. I think is quite interesting. But the reason she was in France in the first place is because she had this aunt. She didn't really know who died. It was her dad's half sister, and it seems like he didn't really know her, as his father didn't really have any communications with her after he remarried after her mother's death. And both of Alice's parents have died, so she wasn't really able to get any information from them. And the aunt, after the parents' death, left Alice everything, and we see Alice go into her house and just take a look around, and she finds this book about labyrinths, and that was translated by a woman named John Gord, which is the same woman we met earlier, and who is, it seems like, on. And we also see how someone hired by Paul Authy is breaking into Jenny's house, trying to find the ring, going through Alice's stuff, and yeah, it's quite, I guess, for Alice a bit tense because there's someone after her, and she is almost afraid after someone broke into her hotel room and attacked her when she entered. There's this dead person trying to get away, but yeah. And with Alice's friend Shaylee, it seems like she is also in some trouble, and Shaylee's just not a perfect angel. It seems like she works as an archaeologist, but has sold pieces to private collectors, and as in her belief, it's like no one really cares about these artifacts, and there's gonna be sold to private collectors anyway, but it seems like she now has regrets about it, and yeah, so far a lot of intrigue, and I do really like the writing, so yeah. I think that's all for now. So it's the next day, and I've done some work and whatnot, and I've also done some reading of Labyrinth. Currently on page 390, and it's still quite interesting in the sense. Something I forgot to mention yesterday when I updated this vlog was that Alice's aunt was a friend of this woman named Jenny, and Jenny, she has this like, I think it's like a family tomb sort of thing, and for some reason had Alice's aunt Grace buried there, so that is quite interesting. I'm hoping to learn more about the two women's friendship, but why I'm bringing it up is that Alice gets this, not a letter, but she's told to go there to meet someone, and two men show up saying they're police and saying she has to come with them, and she doesn't trust them whatsoever because why? And so she wants and is able to get rid of them, and she goes to a different city, Chartres, I believe it's called. I definitely butchered the pronunciation of that, but it's the city where her aunt lived, and as well where her aunt went really, and the address of her friend Sinead has given, and she goes to that house and rings the bell. No one answers, and she's looking around and whatnot, and then she stumbles upon someone who recognized her from one party like over a decade ago named I have horrible timing when my father decides to play something on his phone. Yeah. But I just found that interesting, and we do learn that Marie today, she's dating someone named Will, and it turns out that is the same Will, because he and Alice catch up at a cafe, and she mentions the labyrinth to him, and he says that he saw one similar in the house, and yeah, we see a confrontation, and we learn that there's plans and that there's no trust between Marie and Audie, I believe is what it was, or Audie, and that there was a ritual and someone betrayed them as the body has been found, and it seems like the police divers, like, they knew where to look and what to look for, so it's so suspicious and whatnot. And in like 1209 timeline, Orin is looking for Alice's things, trying and finds the cape in which Alice like sewed the book in and whatnot, and she blackmails Gunn into working for her as an informant, otherwise she'll tell Alice everything. And we see the sage occur, and it's not going well for them, and whatnot. And there's also with this HA sickness going around with that Alice's father catches and he dies. And Aurane is upset as Alice, like, she has a right to be upset about this, forgets to tell her, forgets to get her while their father is dying. And that Alice allowed, like, the old ways to be performed in front of him, which was his regress through. And she tells Alice about the affair and basically wants Alice to tell her where the book is. And yeah, we see Alice escape, and we also see Aurane. She has her own plans, and it turns out the father's servant who had betrayed his trust and sided with Aurane, and she went to, I guess, the other captain of the people sieging their city to tell him what she has and to make a deal with him. She wants to be his wife, as it will give her more power, and yet she's still married, but she tells him her husband's dead, so yeah, we'll see about that, how that goes. Because yikes. And yeah, we just see how things fall apart really for Carcassonne, as the uncle had kind of said he would speak to the Viscount, and after talking to Aurane, goes back on his word and captures him and takes him as like a traitor. And we see how the Viscount, like how the, not Viscount, but the captain of the other party just lets the people go, like no one's really beheaded or punished for their ways, they're just kicked out of their city, which, and that means Alice has to flee, and so does everyone else. And the thing is, with her teacher was attacked and her book was stolen from her, meaning Aurane has 2 of the books while Alice has the 3rd. And this teacher, like, isn't gonna go with her, or what is his name, I guess. I'm definitely gonna mispronounce it because I've only been reading it physically, not like audibly. It's like Saji with her, so that's where I'm up to. And yeah, I'm just interested in where this goes from next. And as well, I forgot to mention that Shaylee, like, she is being held captive, and it seems like someone wants information from her about where the book is, and she is trying her best to protect Alice, which I like, but she didn't mean for this to happen. It seems like with Shaylee, this thing has got out of control real quick, so yeah. It does, I don't know, it just almost feels like a third group's involved, with the fact that Shaylee was talking to the son of Marie Celie, who was her, like, contact. So, yeah, I'm just very much just intrigued, and I'm just going with it, like, seeing where it takes me, so, yeah, I think that's all for now. So I'll see you when I see. So it's the next day, and I just got back from running some errands and whatnot, and I've done some work and all that kind of stuff, and I've done quite a bit of reading of Labyrinth to me on page 450, and we do get present day Alice meeting with Audric, who was a friend of Johnny's, and he seems like a very, like, old person, and for some reason has taken a great interest in 1209 Alice. Like, he tells present day Alice everything that happened to past timelines Alice from when her city fell, which was like 1209 to 1244, when she went against her sister to prevent her from getting a book of words. And we do learn, like, what happens when all 3 books are together, how they basically form this formula on how to create this elixir and how to live essentially forever, and how people, okay, past timelines as his father, his teacher, I think his name's like, I don't want to mispronounce it, so I'm just gonna look. It's Harleth? Probably mispronounced, that's fine. How he tried to prevent that, and as well we do learn the history of the Grail and how it was used to influence literature in history and whatnot. And the way Audric talks at times, and the things he tells Alice, it's not like he learned the stuff through his reading or through research. It seems like he lived it, like he was there, and he will say things like, oh, the way he talks and the words he uses, like we. So I am very much curious about that. And we also see with Maurice Lee, it seems like she is plotting this ritual, I guess, using two of the books she has, and she thinks the third book is still in the cave that Alice was in the beginning of the novel, and she is planning to do the ritual and sacrificing Will, her, and Shaylee. So, and with the fact at the beginning of the book 2 bodies were discovered, I'm guessing a similar ritual happened over 800 years prior, so I'm very much curious to learn more about that, and kind of wish we did learn about Audric, just because he just seems like almost like a Gandalf sort of character, like who's lived a very long time and is quite knowledgeable, so I would like to learn his story as well. So, but yeah, I think I'll finish this tomorrow, which is fun. And yeah, I think that's all for now. So I'll So it's the next day, and I've had quite a long day. As you saw, I did go out, and I didn't really film a lot of B-roll just because while it was 40, it wasn't warm, and it was also quite windy, and I had no desire to take off my gloves. And when I'm out and about, I do film on my phone, so yeah. But I did go to a library book sale, and I got 2 books from the sale. Beartown by Frederick Bachman and Pandora by Susan Stokes Chapman. And yeah, and as well I also went a bunch of errands, did my grocery shopping, and while I was at the dollar store just picking up some bathroom stuff like hand soap and whatnot, I did pick up The Mystery Writer by Sorari Gentile for $1.50, and I read The Woman in the Window I think about 2 years ago now, and I liked it, so yeah. And yeah, I got home maybe an hour ago and I was done. I was so tired. But I did do some reading before I left, and when I got home, and I did finish Labyrinth by Kate Moss, and I liked it. I liked how really it was about, in the end, it was about who tells the story of history, when typically it's the victor, the winner, and it's always so biased and full of lies against others, against the so-called losers. And with this, it's about ensuring that the truth comes out. And I found that quite interesting, and with this we see the confrontation almost between Orin and Alice, and who the two skeletons that were discovered in the cave initially. And we also see Marie Celine try to get what she wants, which is to live longer, live and look young forever. And the outcome of that, and we learn the true identity of Audric and how he knows so much about the past, how he thought it was his goal to his mission really to ensure that the truth came out and all it was. It was personally Alice's job to close the story to ensure that the well remained safe, and then no one tried to, reopen it again and try to use it for selfish purposes again. And as well, we also see, the modern day ways of how beliefs can bring people against each other, because Arthur, who is the person helping Maurice, he had set bombs in the cave, and it was because he thought they were all heretics, that the only good people are true Christians, and we see that and what happens to him. And yeah, we just see present day Alice kind of get her happily ever after and move on from the past, and then we see how there's this new future for her, and we also learn her, relations to present day Alice, I never looked up how to pronounce it, but yeah, overall 4 stars. And I'm gonna discuss what book I plan to read next tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll see you when I see you. I'm gonna go lie down, so bye. So, so it's the next day, and I've just been taking it easy. Today I just suddenly got quite tired, so who knows? 'Cause I did sleep quite well last night, but yeah. But I have done some reading. I started The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornick, and this is about Boda's story begins where most witches' tales end, with a burning, a punishment from Odin for refusing to provide him with knowledge of the future. The fire leaves Boda injured and powerless, and she flees to the furthest reaches of a remote forest. There she is found by a man who reveals himself to be Loki, and her initial distrust of him transforms into a deep and abiding love. Their union provides 3 unusual children, each with a secret destiny, who Boda is keen to raise at the edge of the world, safely hidden from Odin's all-seeing eye. But as Boda slowly recovers her prophetic powers, she learns that her blissful life and possibly all of existence is in danger. With the help from the fierce huntress Skadi, with whom she shares a growing bond, Boda must choose whether she will accept the fate that she's foreseen for her beloved family, or ways to remake their future. For the most ancient of tales, this novel forges a tale of love, loss, hope for the modern age. Yeah. And so far, I'm on page 94, and I'm definitely intrigued. We see Boda when she's entering the forest after she's been burned for the 3rd time, and with the 3rd time, the gods, they carved out her heart, and Loki does show up and is with her heart and gives it back to her. And the thing with Boda is she doesn't remember her time before she was with the gods. All she remembers is that she was with the gods. And that's something that I do find interesting. I do wonder who she was before everything. And we see her and Loki slowly fall in love, how she sometimes finds him intolerable and annoying, and slowly he becomes more vulnerable with her. He's not as person, this persona of someone who just likes to cause mischief. He is someone who at times is afraid and fearful of hurting those he cares for, and what he has to do to ensure his own safety in the world of the gods is he is the blood brother of Odin, and we also learn the gods mistrust him, and they only really tolerate him because of his relationship with Odin, which I'm thinking. And we see Androbola, how she is slowly making her life in this forest, and how her friendship with Scotty is also helping her with that. How she goes from having absolutely nothing to a cave that she calls home with supplies where she can uh, sustain herself really. And we do see Androbola and Loki marrying their first child. How with this first pregnancy, the child almost died when she was in the womb, and Robola used her abilities to bring the child back, but it seems like it had caused some. There was still a long-term effect from that. It seems like her daughter's legs are blue, and and she has to keep applying the sap to ensure that Flash doesn't want to keep them alive. And yeah, I'm curious about how the child's name, and yeah, I'm just curious on where she goes from here, because she has this uncanny habit, I would say, of just staring at people, like almost like she's trying to read into their soul, and I'm just curious where it goes from here. And yeah, so far I'm liking it, and I think I know more updates on this book will be in my next vlog, as it is Saturday, so that means it is the end of this vlog. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below telling me what you've been up to recently. If you want to, please subscribe to this channel, and if you want to follow me on any social media, all those things are in the down bar below. I will see you guys next time I post.